purpose. Your midday motivation is this: you owe it to yourself to keep on kicking. Yesterday, I ministered a powerful message, and as I was ministering, I began to tell people my story. I read a very disturbing statistic. The statistic said the rising cause of death for Americans is suicide. Another thing about that statistic that really stood out to me was this. It says that there are more people that die from suicide than accidental deaths. In other words, people are just willingly taking their lives. They're throwing their hands up in the air and they're saying, I can't do it anymore. I can't keep going. And I was about to judge that statistic as being something crazy, but I began, as I ministered yesterday, to reflect over my own life. And I remember when my wife and I were newlyweds, and I had taken out a $50,000 insurance policy, but I was at a point in my life where I had flunked out of college. I was working a dead-end job. I was so broken that I could not even keep the power bill on in my own home. And there was times that I felt like I was nothing. I felt less than a man. I felt as if I was not needed. I felt as if I wasn't important. And I remember I heard the same words that I believe a lot of people that are faced with this deadly choice. And it was, you're no good, you're nothing, you ought to go ahead and end it all. And I'll never forget, I came to a place where I was just about to end it all. And God supernaturally interrupted my life with these simple words: if you could see what I could see, you would not complain. I want to encourage you today to not give up. You got to keep going, because there's more to what you are doing than what you actually are seeing and what you actually are experiencing. You're closer to the victory than you really actually think you are. You gotta keep going. You can't quit. You can't throw in the towel. One of my favorite speakers says this. There's a story of two little frogs, that were hopping along the countertop, and both of these frogs fell into a bowl of milk. And one of the frogs, after about kicking a while, and they just kicking, he looked at the other frog, he said, I'm tired, and he quit, and he gave up, and he drowned in that bowl of milk. The other frog refused to give up. He kept kicking as hard as he could kick. He kept kicking with everything in him. When everything told him to stop, when everything told him to quit, when everything told him to throw in the towel, when everything told him you're going to drown, when everything told him it was hopeless, when everything told him that you're going to drown just like the other frog, and he began to look at the carcass of the other frog that was sitting there laying there dead and lifeless. Everything in his frog told it to quit, but he just refused to quit. He kept on kicking. He began to say, I'm not going to die in a bowl of milk. I was born for greater than this. I was born to be more. There is more to my life than what I'm actually experiencing. And he kept on kicking. He kept on kicking till ultimately that milk began to churn, and it began to churn and harden. And ultimately that milk turned into butter, and it solidified, and he hopped away. He hopped up and walked away from that milk. Many of you are just like that frog. You fell into a situation of despair. You fell into a situation of hopelessness. You fell into a situation of throwing in the towel. You fell into a situation of voices telling you it's never going to work. You fell into a situation of death. You fell into a situation of loneliness and isolation and feeling like you're by yourself in this life. I want to encourage you to don't stop kicking, because ultimately that situation is going to turn around, is going to churn, and is ultimately going to harden and solidify itself and be the foundation for you to step into the next level of your life. If I would have ended it all back in 1999, who would have saw this George Johnson you see today that's running its own ministry? Who would have saw this George Johnson today that graduated with his doctorate degree? Who would have saw this George Johnson today that is a college professor? Who would have saw this George Johnson today? I want to encourage you. It may seem like it's hopeless, But one of my favorite scriptures says this: we are not ones that are without hope. There's always hope. Keep on kicking. Keep on jumping. Keep on fighting, because you're closer to the victory than you think. Don't listen to the doubt peddlers, naysayers, and unbelievers, and those that are telling you, and the prognosticators of doom and gloom that are telling you to quit. Don't quit. Keep going. Keep fighting. And when you feel like you're just about to sink, reach down in the reservoir of your greatness and keep on kicking. I'm telling you, there's a life that God has for you that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. And listen what that voice says. It says, neither has it entered into your heart. I'm telling you, there is something that God is up to concerning your life. God bless you. Enjoy your Monday, and we'll see you.